Hello guys, welcome back. Let's start with a new topic which is called correlation. So correlation describes an association between variables. So what we try to figure out is when one variable is changing, how does the other changes? So it's a statistical indicator of the relationship between variables. And these variables change together, they covary, right? But this covariation isn't necessarily due to the direct or indirect causal link. Now, what does causation means? Causation means that changes in one variable bring about changes in the other. Meaning there is a cause and effect relationship between variables. The two variables are correlated with each other and there's also a causal link between them. So for causation, there must be correlation also and there must be some link between the variable. Now, an important thing to actually jot down here is correlation does not imply causation, but causation always implies correlation, right? So, meaning if there's a correlation between variables, it does not imply causation, but if there's a causation involved between variables, the variables has to be correlated, correct? So let's move ahead. Now, the first question which must be popping up is why doesn't correlation mean causation, right? So there are two reasons. The first is a third variable problem, meaning that a confounding variable affects both variables to make them seem casually related when they are not. So let's look up an example. So ice cream sales and violent crimes are closely correlated, but they're not casually linked with each other, right? So they might seem correlated, but they do not have any causation effect. Ice cream sales with violent crimes. But instead, there is a third factor, there is a third variable called temperature, right? So when the temperature is hot, it shoots up both sales of ice cream and crime. So it might look like when we study, let's say when we draw a scatter plot, in our scatter plot, it might look like sales and crime sort of vary this like this, maybe, right? But we cannot say that the sales have increased due to increasing crime because of the third variable called temperature, right? The second problem is the directionality problem. So directionality problem is when two variables correlate and might actually have a causal relationship, but it's impossible to conclude which variable causes change in the other, right? So let's say temperature versus sales. Or for example, here we can also quote an example. For example, vitamin D levels are correlated with depression from a study, but it's not clear whether low vitamin D causes depression or whether depression causes reduced vitamin D intake, right? Or we can also quote an example from the sales and temperature thing. We cannot conclude here that decreasing temperature if will sort of decrease the sales or increasing sales will increase the temperature, right? And this also is not logical. Let's say if the sales of ice cream is increasing, we cannot conclude that okay, the temperature would also increase. No, in the winters also we might see a increase in sales maybe, right? So this is why correlation does not directly imply causation, right? Lack of directionality problem and the third variable introduction. Now there are two kind of correlation, actually three kind of correlation: positive, neutral, and negative. Neutral is when there is no correlation, obviously. So it can be positive, meaning both variables move in the same direction. For example, when we saw the sales of the ice cream with the temperature. Negative meaning that one variable value causes increases, the other variable causes variable's value decreases, right? So an example here could be, uh, let's say, if we are studying hours of sports with, let's say, GPA. So the more you will play, the lesser GPA you will get. So it might show a negative correlation, right? The performance of some algorithms can deteriorate if the two or more variables are tightly related, called the multicollinearity, right? So in the case of regression, especially, we have to make sure that we do not have this multicollinearity issue, right? Otherwise, we would not get a generalized model, and our columns, if they are correlated with each other, should be removed so that the model can learn, right? We may also be interested in the correlation between input variables with the output variable. Like how is the dependent variable? Output variable is also called a dependent variable, and input variables are independent variables. So how is the independent variable related to a dependent variable? We can also sort of statistically look into it by using the correlation, right? It can provide good insight into how this would affect our model as well. Now let's see how the plots usually look like. For a strong negative correlation, the slope, let's first write the equation of line y equal to mx plus c, which you have already studied many times. Now the slope coefficient is m. This is the slope coefficient, right? Three cases can be there. If m is 0, you would get a weak correlation or a zero correlation. If m is greater than 0, you would get a line with a positive correlation. If m is less than 0, you would get a line with a negative correlation, right? So graphing the data and its relationship helps in determining which type of correlation we are confronted with, right? We can visually look at our data. We can usually visually see which two variables of our interest are correlated in what manner. But to actually quantify it, we need to calculate something called the correlation coefficient, right? It does not tell how strong the correlation is, right? We do not have any quantification yet, right? So for this quantification thing, we need something called correlation coefficient. Now, the most famous type of correlation coefficient is the Pearson correlation coefficient. The correlation coefficient is a statistical measure that quantifies a relationship between two variables. Its value lies between the range of -1 to 1, right? And if there is a value greater than 1, it indicates probably there is some error in the function. Negative correlation is denoted by -1. So as and when you are getting close to -1, it means the variables are negatively correlated. If R is tending to 1 or it's closer to 1, it means a positive correlation. Whereas if it's around 0, that means there is no relationship between variables. Let's see the formula between the correlation between two variables x and y. How to find it? So xi is the random variable of our interest, and y is another random variable. Now x bar is the mean of all the values of the variable x. Y bar is the mean of all the values of variable y. Now, using the simple formula, we can very well calculate the correlation coefficient, right? Now let's look at some practical example here. to get some more idea around what correlation is with the help of some code. So we have loaded a data set. It's a very famous data set called Boston dataset, right? Let us look what does this data set tell about. So it has 13 attributes, right? Crime rate, proportion of residential land, right? Status percentage, what status is there of the society, tax per rate, age of the property, number of rooms, and what we are interested in finding about. So it's a regression problem wherein we are interested in finding the price of the house given we have these features, right? Now by simply let's simply look how we can find out the correlation first. So this is a data frame. Now when you apply this boston.cor, you can simply get the relationship between each and every variable. So all the variables correlation is being depicted here, right? So as we can very well see, let's see some of the examples, that crime rate and prices are negatively correlated, right? And it should be higher the crime, lesser the price of the house. With age also, we can see a negative correlation. So the more the age of the house is, the lesser the price would be, right? Now, status of the society, right, is also negatively correlated. If there is a lower status society, the price are negatively correlated, right? Now let's look at rooms. If there are more number of rooms in the house, the prices should increase, and we are seeing a high positive correlation, right? Now let's move ahead and we can also sort of draw a heat map to visualize this, where the heat map would show values for the correlation. Now highly correlated features are shown in a lighter cell, whereas lower correlated values are shown in a darker cell, right? So it's a good way to visualize our correlation matrix. Going ahead, let's see how to find out the Pearson correlation coefficient. So there's a very well functioned library in Python, which is called Pearson R. So you can just simply run it. And the first value, so it gives two values. The first value gives correlation coefficient. And this is the p value, which we have already studied in our earlier lectures. So now the p value is very small, which is less than alpha. Alpha in our case would be 0.05. So that means we can conclude that crime and price rates are related to each other, right? So crime affects prices, right? But again, this is interesting to see that if prices does not affects crime, right? So the vice versa is not true. That is why correlation would not imply causation, right? Now we can also plot and see that how are different variables correlated. Let me just show you again. Let's use crime only here. Okay, so we can see that these two variables are sort of negatively correlated, right? Through our scatter plot. Now we can also look at another variable, which is the number of rooms. So we can very well see that number of rooms and the prices are positively correlated. The slope is positive for this line. Slope is positive, right? So I hope you would have understood about correlation and causation in this video, right? Thanks for watching this video. Have a nice day ahead.